even got a bounce house.
I see.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Brenner, Tazalon for Drop Top Tees, and my son Tim Menz is going to be my cameraman today. We are here to give more hints, tips, and tricks for new 124 Spyder owners. Again, this is for new owners, people who just got the car, haven't read the manual, don't know the car very well. If you know everything about the car, you probably aren't going to learn anything new, so I just want to get that up front so people know what to expect. We're going to focus on the 7-inch screen and some of the cool, good to know things about the commands inside there. And we're also going to look at a couple hints that viewers have submitted after doing our first video. So once again, if there's something in here that you didn't know about, please like the video. So first thing we're going to do is look at the credit card holders that are above the sun visors and a cubby hole that's hidden inside the trunk. Turn it off. Okay, so when we did the last hints, tips, and tricks, a viewer and member of our Facebook group, Lizbeth Rodriguez, I believe it is, sorry if I'm wrong, I think that's who it was, said, hey, what about the credit card holders above the sun visors? And it's like, yeah, that's a good one to show you, because not everybody realizes they're there. A lot of cars don't have things like that. So if you bend down your visor, there's a credit card slot right here. Same thing on the other side. If you can slide a credit card in a slot. Okay, so this is really good if you think about it. Say you're in a parking garage where you have to pay when you leave, or you're at the airport in a parking garage and you have to pay at the toll booth when you leave the whole airport. Usually you pull up to the toll booth and you have to fumble around in your purse or try to dig the wallet out of your back pocket, which isn't always easy to do in a car like this where the seats are tight and pretty much conform to your body. So here's a way around it. When you get into the car, poof, slide your card up there, and then when you get to the toll booth, you don't have to dig around in your purse or wallet. It's right there ready for you to grab and pay whatever fee you have to pay, and you're on your way. The only thing is, when you get to where you're going or after you use it, take it down out of there. You don't want to forget and leave your cards up here while you're not in the vehicle. Trust me, anybody who robs cars professionally, and there's a lot of people out there that run around, especially if you live in a big city, do that. They know about all these little hiding places, and this is just too easy of a way to score a free credit card for somebody if they actually try to burglarize your vehicle. So don't leave it there overnight. The other thing I can think of, me being retired Air Force, a lot of times to access a military base, when you go through the gate, you have to show your ID card. So again, if you have something like that where you have to show an ID card to gain entrance to it through a gate or something, when you get in your vehicle knowing you're going there, just slide your ID card right up there. It's ready for you when you get there. Once again, don't have to try to dig it out of your pocket or out of your purse once you get to the gate where you're going through. So that's our first hit. Now the next one is in the trunk. There's actually a cubby hole in the trunk, and I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, over on the right hand side of your trunk, you just press forward right here. This little side panel pulls out. You have storage space in here. On the left side, go ahead and show the left side. It doesn't exist on the left side because here's your fuel filler. So you have the pipe that runs down to your fuel tank right here, and there's not really any space. Now, let me show you this. This is kind of like a molded, I don't know, it's just a fabric piece. The tabs on it aren't that sturdy, and so if you use it a lot, you're probably going to end up breaking it down. But if you want to put your tire inflator kit over there, or something that you don't use very often, to put it back in, you just put the front tabs in and just tuck it in back here, and there you go. Another little space to give you a little bit of extra cargo room in your car. Okay, so let's get back to the main feature here, the 7-inch screen. First of all, as you probably all know, it's a touchscreen. You can use your command knob in the middle, or you can just touch But how many of you have discovered, some of you have probably even thought maybe there was something wrong with it, the touch screen doesn't work if you're going over about 4 or 5 miles an hour. So if you're going slow, it still works. Once you speed up, it doesn't work anymore. Try to use it. Nope, not gonna work. It's a safety feature built in by Mazda, because this is a Mazda infotainment system. It's built into the car by Mazda with the idea that once you're driving and you're underway, you shouldn't take and use touchscreen because it's going to distract you from your driving. Now, I don't know why using your little command knob on the console is any better, but in their estimation, it's safer that way. So if you start driving and your touchscreen isn't working, that's not a malfunction. It's built in there as a safety feature by Mazda. So that brings us to another thing you may mistake as a problem, and it's not. Let me turn off the car. I actually had this to where the yellow wrench light was on, and the first time we made the video, I had a SD card problem and it didn't save it right. So I lost that, but in the process of making the video, I reset the wrench, so now it's not on. But anyway, the yellow wrench light, don't be alarmed if when you start your car, the yellow wrench light stays on. It is not a warning of something wrong. It is simply a reminder that one of 3 different types of maintenance is due. And the yellow wrench light I'm talking about is right here when you start the car. Oops. You can see it right up there.
Really?
I'll cut that out. So the yellow wrench light I'm talking about is the little wrench that comes on when you start the car. Right up here on the dash, right beside your engine temperature indicator. Normally, you start the car, it turns on while it does the system checks, and then it turns off. Sometimes it will stay on, and it will stay on until somebody resets it. Again, it's not an indicator of a problem with the vehicle. It's simply a reminder that one of 3 different types of maintenance is due. Depends on how you have your 7-inch screen configured. So, to get into the maintenance screen, you go over here to Applications, the button on the left. Then you go to the second one down, Maintenance. And you can see on top it says Scheduled. That means scheduled maintenance. You have to turn on the setting. Once you activate the setting, then you can pick time. Okay, let me do it with the knob. You can click bump left or right and change. Let's say we know we want to get maintenance in 6 months, so we set it to 6 months. Or we can come down the distance and again bump it up or down. Say in 8,000 miles we need to have the service check. So we set it for 8,000 miles, and when we've driven 8,000 miles, the yellow wrench will stay on all the time, and that's a reminder that our maintenance is due. To clear that, once you get the maintenance, you just go down to the reset button. That also, if you decide, hey, I don't really want maintenance right now, but I want it in another 8,000 miles, that'll reset your calculations for another 8,000 miles. It'll ask you if you want to reset. Yes, I want to reset. Now in my case, I don't want it on because I'm good about getting maintenance. It's going to say, do you really want it off? Yes, I really want it turned off. Okay, so now the second possibility is tire rotation. You have the same option with tire rotation. Now here it doesn't matter about time, it only matters about how many miles you've driven on your tires. So you can go to turn it on with the setting, go to distance, left or right on the command console to change how many miles you have it set for. Say I want to rotate my tires in 7,000 miles. When I reach 7,000 miles, since I make the setting, it will turn the yellow wrench light on, remind me that there's maintenance due. I come into the screen and go, hey, I need to rotate my tires. Again, I get tire rotations for free from my mechanic, so I don't worry about that. So whenever I want to rotate tires, he'll do it for me. And that brings us to the third and most difficult one, the oil change. Notice that it doesn't say on off, it says flexible. And when you press it, setting interval is flexible. I can't change it. The reason is the car computes that itself. The computer in the car evaluates your driving habits, how long it's been since your last oil change, so how old the oil is, and then calculates, and how many miles you've driven, and then calculates when it thinks your oil is ready to be changed again, or is due an oil change. So if you drive your car like a baby and you don't drive it, I shouldn't say like a baby, if you baby your car and don't drive it hard, you will probably go a lot longer between recommended oil changes than somebody who gets out there and drives it like an Italian sports car and has a lot of fun with it. Drive it hard, you're probably going to get 3,000 to 4,000 miles in between oil changes. Drive it easy and light, you're probably going to get 8,000. Okay, you cannot change that. It does it on its own. So in this case, what you do, your yellow wrench is on, you come in here and go, hey, I don't even have tire rotation on, I don't have scheduled on, or maybe they aren't, but they haven't met your limits yet. So those two aren't it. It has to be your oil change. So what you do is go get your oil change, or change it yourself. Then as soon as you've done that, you reset it. But hey, look here, there's no reset button. So how do you do that? Well, here's where the trick comes, and since you don't do it very often, you're probably going to forget, but hopefully you remember. It's not really complicated, it's just a certain procedure you have to follow. So here's what you have to do. With your foot off the clutch and the engine stopped, press your start stop engine once button. That will put the car in accessory mode, and then within the next 10 seconds, depress your accelerator all the way to the floor 3 times. That will reset the oil change button. Okay, so let me show you that again. Step 1, engine off. Step 2, without depressing the clutch, press your ignition switch. And then within the next 10 seconds, fully depress your accelerator 3 times. And that resets the yellow wrench. Okay, now we gotta wait for this to come back up. And we'll go back over to applications. Fuel economy monitor we'll get to in just a second. If your check engine light comes on, that's that little funky looking light that when you look at it, you realize that it's actually the outline of a car engine. And if it comes on, you can go here and it will give you some kind of details about what the issue is. Now, I've never had a warning light come on, so I don't know what the screen could possibly tell me, but if it comes on, go in there and see. Hopefully it'll give you a little bit clearer picture of what the issue might be. And for those who don't know, I know a lot of you already know this, if your check engine light is yellow, it's probably an emissions problem that you need to get fixed, but it's not an emergency. If your check engine light comes on and it's red, like seriously, stop driving your car and tow it to a mechanic, because it's a problem that could potentially harm or kill your engine. So just a nice to know thing. Like I said, people who have been around engines and are mechanics already know that, but for those of you who don't know a lot about cars, yellow is a warning, and it's something you can take to the shop and figure out what it is. It's probably an issue with the emission system. Red is something that's potentially fatal to your engine, so take emergency action. Now, fuel economy monitor. We have the little one over here on your info screen. If you press this info button, you can change and get average miles per gallon, or kilometers per gallon, or kilometers per liter, or whatever you choose to monitor it as. But that just gives you a running average. The fuel economy monitor over here on the 7-inch screen is a little bit more detailed, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And on the top, it shows you your mileage that you've obtained since the last time you turned off or since the last time you turned on your motor. I guess turned off. So whenever you start the car, this starts a whole new fuel economy register. The bottom one shows the whole history of the car, no matter how many trips you've taken since the last time you've reset it, because you can reset the overall average, okay? And it just shows your mileage. If you press the up arrow down here at the bottom, say you just put something new on your car and you're wondering how it's going to impact your mileage, but you've been driving your car for 8 months now and you have, you know, 8,000 miles of history in there, and you want to know, well, what's it doing now? These double arrows down at the bottom in the circle, press that. It will reset your average fuel economy. It wipes everything back to 0. You lose your history. So if you ever want to start over on your mileage because you change your driving habits or you change something in the engine or whatever, that's the way you do it. You press this double arrow and then confirm that you want to do that, and it'll take your average fuel economy history back to 0. If we go over here to the gear and settings, you have an option, show screen at ignition off, and let me show you what that does. In order to show you what it does, I'm going to go back out of the fuel economy screen. Let's put it over on music, okay? Now, I'm going to turn off the car. Watch what happens. It briefly displays the fuel economy monitor. So, every time you turn off your car, you get to see how you did that trip. Because I personally don't like, I know, I would rather have it on my music screen, or maybe I'm using the nav screen or something like that. I just don't want to leave it on fuel economy. So go back in here, back to settings, and the bottom screen, sync average and trip A, it will show you, say you just take it, like where we live in the outskirts of Dallas, we're pretty much city driving, probably 75% of our driving is city driving. Say we go on a trip to the beach or something, and we want to see what kind of mileage we're getting on the highway. We can reset our trip A, set that to sync trip A, and it'll show us how the mileage is for trip A. So it'll switch the average over to trip A. Instead of showing you the overall history of the car, it shows you what you're getting on trip A. So you can just isolate a portion of your driving and see how you're doing on that segment of driving. Alternate way out is to go here, press on that application button. Now we're done with applications. I'm not going to do nav. Everybody's probably already played with nav if you have it. Let's go over to the settings. We'll go through most of these rather quick because they're somewhat, they're just, yeah, they're there, but no big deal. You can turn your whole display off if you don't want to see it. You can turn your display off and just show a clock. You can set it for whether you want it to get dimmer at night or not. And you have brightness contrast. Oops, I didn't want to go all the way out. Okay, safety. If you have the collision avoidance systems, that'll show up here. Sound, you get a really rudimentary basic car equalizer, bass, treble, fade, balance, ALC. Clock, you can change the format of your clock from 12-hour to 24-hour, sync it with GPS, select what time zone, daylight savings, and stuff like that. Okay, vehicles, now we're starting to get into some good stuff. On door locks, remember last video I talked to you about the automatic door locks, the electronic door locks, and how the driver's side only opens up the driver's side, whereas the passenger side opens up both doors at once. Driver's side, you have to press twice to open up both doors. Well, you can change that right here, unlock mode, and you can see right here it's on drivers once, all doors twice. Well, if I come up and press all doors once, now on my driver's side door, I just press it once and both doors open. So that's just a matter of choice for you. I keep it on here because my wife does drive around town at night, and I just think it's safer for her when she's driving alone to have the option of getting in without letting somebody force their way into the passenger side. You can change whether your door automatically locks or not. You can change the keyless beep volume, which doesn't really do a whole lot. change auto relock time. How long does it take before it automatically locks? And here's a cool one. Walk away lock. What that does is, your door locks are a proximity switch, right? The fob has to be within 31 inches for the door locks to work. So what this does is sense when the fob has moved out of that distance from the car, and it automatically locks your door. A great way to ever forget to lock your doors, because the car does it for you. Okay, I leave it on. But again, that's just personal choice. Reset puts everything back to the factory settings. The big thing there is probably the automatic door locks for when you walk away. The car locks itself in case you're in a hurry and you forget to lock the door. Hey, the car takes care of it for you. And the ability to change the door, the driver door, to press once, open both sides. Turn, kind of a weird thing, but you're talking about turn signal. Okay, you can turn on 3 flash turn signal, and you can change the volume of your turn signal from high to low. Now all you do is press, and it's on low. I'm going to turn on my turn signal. Listen how soft it is. You already know. Go ahead and put it on high, Tim. Oh man, it is just so much louder. I'm probably going to have to try to figure out how to turn down the volume again, because it's breaking my eardrums. Seriously, it does get a little louder.
Not much.
Instead of saying it gets a little louder, I think it's more accurate to say it gets a little less soft. Because it by no means ever becomes high volume. It does boost it maybe by a decibel or two,
maybe by
but it's
5.
so soft to begin with, it really don't think matters whether you're high or low. If you're driving with the top down especially, you don't have a chance of hearing either one of them. And even with the top up, if you have music on or you're talking to somebody, you don't really, there's no discernible difference. So it's one of the, I don't know why they have the turn signal volume so low, but when you discover and think, hey, I can turn it up high, well, yeah, they say it's high, but it should just be higher, because it's not high. It never gets loud. So that's just you know, it is what it is. You can't do a whole lot with how loud the turn signal is. Interior lights under lighting, you can change how long your lights stay on when you open the door. You can change how long the lights stay on when you close the door. You can change the volume of lights. They say volume, but it's like the warning that your light's still on. Coming home light, how long does it stay on? Leaving home light, how does it stay on? And now here's the big one on this screen. Notice, let me scroll back up. You don't see this when you just go to the screen. This little red slider bar over here means you can scroll down, and here it is, daytime running lights. Most, I won't say most, if you bought your car in an area where daytime running lights are not mandatory, this feature should work. You can come in here, it comes stock, it comes with daytime running lights on. All you do is come in, press the button and turn them off. Now you don't have daytime running lights anymore. The factory told me, I shouldn't say the factory, my Fiat dealer told me that if you buy the car in a state or in a country where daytime running lights are mandatory, then this feature is deactivated and you cannot use it to turn your daytime running lights off. Your only option would be to go to a dealer and find somebody who's willing to go in there and turn it off for you. Whether you like daytime running lights or not, some people will argue forever that they make you more safe, more visible to other drivers. Other people don't like them on. It's good to know it's there, because if the option is activated for you, say you go to like a Christmas light drive-through display, or you're at a drive-in movie but it's cold or hot and you want to have the car running for AC or for your heater or whatever, you can go ahead and turn them off for the duration of the event, and then if you use them for normal driving, you can turn them back on when you go to leave that facility. So it's a good thing to know they're there. If you're like me and you just don't like daytime running lights, just go in and turn them off. But again, if you bought the car in an area where it's mandatory, you probably won't be able to use this feature. Okay? And I think that is about it, because devices, if you have a personal electronic device that you hook up to here, face it, you know more about it than I do. And I can't go through every single system and show you an example of how it works. Final one is system. Again, this is a It's scrollable. There's a couple of things down at the bottom. And you can basically change the language that it presents information to you, change your temperature and distance from metric to statute, or whatever settings you want to display for temperature and mileage. Okay, and you probably noticed the scenery change, maybe not, but we're back at our house in the back driveway. I noticed that I forgot to say one thing that it was probably important for some of you. Over in the system, so let me show you where I went here. On the home screen, go to the settings, all the way to the right to where it says system, and then scroll all the way down and it says about. For those of you who want to put on like Android CarPlay or whatever, where you're doing the modification to the system itself, I've noticed that some of them out there say you have to have version so-and-so in order for it to be compatible. Here's where you can see what version your system is right here. Press about, and then version information, and it will show you at the top OS version of 56.00.530 NAN. That is the number that you have to look at to determine if your infotainment OS is compatible with the upgrade you want to do, so that you can add your CarPlay or whatever it is you want to put on there. Okay, so I didn't want to forget to throw that in here, and that's where it is, over in the far right. Okay, again, home screen, settings, all the way over to the right, system, scroll down to about, and version information. That tells you what it is. Now we're going back to the normal video, and we're back at the park. That's about all that we are going to talk about on here. Again, if I showed you anything you didn't know about, please like the video, because it gives me an idea whether I'm helping people or not. And just a heads up for the next video, hopefully we will make this tomorrow. It's weather dependent. As you can see, there's some clouds out today, but that is the remnants of a tropical depression which flooded Houston, and it's moving away from us right now. So I think tomorrow is actually going to be better weather than today. Hopefully tomorrow what we're going to do is get underneath the back end of our car and show you how simple it is to take off your stock exhaust and put on something like a Ottawa Combi resonated exhaust, or non-resonated muffler delete, or something like that. It's 2 bolts. You may need to get some special ratchets to do it, but it's exceedingly simple. You can do it under 30 minutes. And I know some of y'all like the sounds you hear on cars with the upgraded exhaust systems, but you may not be mechanics, and you may think, hey, I'm kind of leery about trying to do this myself because I don't know anything about turning a wrench. So I'm going to show you how easy it is, and hopefully that'll convince some of you to go ahead and pull the trigger and buy them and put them on your car and enjoy the sound that it gives you. So look for that probably tomorrow night, maybe Monday night by the time I post it. And then I encourage you all, go to shop.spreadshirt.com/drop top tees and look at the shirts we have for 124s. We have some for a BART. I'm going to take before Christmas, I'm going to add more styles for Abarts, because I know a lot of you Abart people want shirts that say Abart and not just 124 Spider. But you know, you spent the extra money in the car, you want to be able to show it off. So just keep checking back there. We add new shirts probably at least once a week. I don't always post them online because I don't like spamming people forever trying to get you to buy products. So pretty much put an ad on the groups once a month. And again, I don't always show all the new designs. So come check us out. Hopefully you find something that you like. Ciao.